Positive Spin. Presenting positive, innovative, and solution-oriented news from around the world.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas! We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Merry
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Merry
We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings of Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings of Christmas and a Happy New Year. Now bring us some figgy pudding. Now bring us some figgy pudding. Now bring us some figgy pudding and bring it out here. We won't go until we get some. We won't go until we get some. We won't go until we get some. So bring it out here. For we all love figgy pudding. We all love figgy pudding. We all love figgy pudding. So bring some out here.
Merry
Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays to all the viewers of Positive Spin. During the holiday season, we remember our family and friends, both living and past. Positive Spin is honoring the memory of our dear friend and colleague, Avon Mattison. Avon was a shining light in the movement for peace around the world. She was a leader and mentor for countless organizations worldwide. She was a central figure in the creation of the UN International Day of Peace, celebrated by millions of people around the world. Her beloved Pathways to Peace, for which she was president and co-founder, created the Peace Wheel, the first ever system to connect the many aspects of peace building. In the following presentation, we feature an interview with Avon Mattison and tributes from key members of her organization.
So I want to start at the beginning.
Yes.
And when were you born?
I was born in 1941.
Uh-huh.
I had the question, why are we fighting? Why is everyone killing each other and devastating the earth in the name of peace?
Right.
And so at that time, I had an extraordinary experience.
I'm very curious.
All right. This is the deeper story that I rarely tell. It occurred when I was about 3.5, going toward 4. There was an experience that I had in answer to my question that basically showed the planet as in its entirety and showed that all life on Earth was interconnected and living as one interconnected life, and how this Earth was part of this entire solar system, and this solar system was part of other solar systems, and this galaxy was part of a galaxy, and how this galaxy was part of other galaxies, and in these beautiful sort of septinates. There were 7 of each. I don't know why didn't at that time, and then brought back to Earth, and was shown the evolution of life from single cell organisms all the way to what humanity would be like in the 21st century and beyond. And at that time, I made a commitment to dedicating my life to peace. The assignment was that it was important for an idea to come to humanity, and that was the idea of Pathways to Peace, that everyone and everything is a pathway to peace. And when we understand that, then we see that there's this beautiful, intricate, kind of larger plan or pattern unfolding, and we're all part of it. And at the center of this was just pure energy, one would call pure light, pure energy, but it was as if we were all connecting, as you would say, to the one heart, to that one spirit, to one source, and that everyone had their own unique contribution to make, and every field had its own unique contribution to make, and in the larger field of peace. And that at some point this idea would need to be made, brought into greater reality, and that at some time it might be necessary to form an organization with that name that would be unusual in the way that it organized, that it would be very important to create a universal day of peace that eventually all nations and all humanity would participate in, and that.
So the seed of that idea was fairly concrete.
Very.
When you were 4.
Very. Not quite 4. Very specific. And it was that this had to be created through the United Nations, which didn't exist yet.
Yeah.
There was no United Nations. That one day it would be communicated through all forms of media, both through human beings and their, what we would call prayers and meditations, silence, whatever form. And that it would be communicated through also in other forms. And at that time, what was interesting is it showed the old-fashioned typewriters, and it had like a little tiny movie screen above it.
Yeah.
Because there were theaters, but obviously nothing else. And on top of that, and somebody would type in something, and pictures and words would show.
Yeah.
And then on top of the radio was another little miniature, like movie theater screen.
Yeah.
And that had pictures and people speaking and images showing around the world, and that apparently was a television. And that all these were connected to these great silver objects that were orbiting the Earth, and lines were connecting them all energetically, and with electronic currents, but also currents connecting all the human minds and hearts simultaneously. And I guess those were satellites, and that's why this was so unusual.
You foresaw these?
Well, these I didn't. It was just basically shown, and so that was, and that this day would have to be created through the United Nations, because eventually it would begin with, then all nations would have to agree to this day, and that would help to bring it into a very much more practical reality.
Okay, let me take you back. You say it was shown. What do you mean?
Shown and told. I could see these things, but I'm not clairvoyant or any of that stuff. I
Right.
mean, none of that. So that's why they I think it was given to a very obtuse, ungifted person
Did you?
to show that if anybody can have this kind of awareness, if I can, anybody can.
Did you talk about it with people, or
No,
did you
I did.
draw it in pictures?
No, because I can't draw my way out of a paper bag.
Okay.
No. I spoke to it to a couple of family members and some adults, and they told me that my imagination was too lively and
Right.
to please not speak of those things again.
Right. So you didn't?
Never.
Never.
Never until I returned after the diplomatic service to the United States, and I spoke of it to Fritjof Kepler.
Give us a voice, let our hearts be heard, sounding our choice to love and preserve. There's a light in our soul, a polished pearl. Give peace a voice, uniting nations of the world.
Avon was a dear friend, and we worked together for over 40 years. She was my mentor in co-founding Pathways to Peace when I left my corporate job and was venturing out on my own. It changed my life. Avon worked tirelessly right up till the day she passed, and one of the major accomplishments was initiating the field of peace building. Beyond peacemaking or peacekeeping, she was instrumental in the creation, consulting to, and expansion of many peace-related organizations, including the United Religions Initiative, the World Peace Prayer Society, and on and on. She guided Pathways to Peace to become a United Nations NGO with consultative status and built an incredible team of representatives there, including many young people she mentored and so many others. Her work and connections were key to bringing the IDP, International Day of Peace, into the lives of people all over the world. She brought a spiritual quality that was unique and profound to all that she did, and Avon is deeply missed on earth as she creates from on high.
Thank you, Joni. And I am Tezekiah Gabriel. I'm the Executive Director of Pathways to Peace. Avon's legacy lives on not only in our hearts and minds, but in the work that we do at Pathways to Peace. Nothing would ever honor Avon more than the continuation of the work that she began. So as always, our work at Pathways to Peace is intergenerational and multicultural. And we have a huge focus on empowering the next generation of peace builders. And we do that through our peace education and advocacy, both at the UN and beyond, and through our Issues and Experts project, as well as special projects, both here in the United States and beyond. And as you know, our work at the UN, we have a very diverse pool of representatives to the United Nations of all ages and backgrounds. And so if you'd like to learn more about the work of Pathways to Peace moving forward, it's www.pathwaystopeace.org. And thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you.
Many people see Avon Mattison as a visionary. So I would say, yes, that is true, but she's more than that. She was here on a mission. Her mission was, and she's very conscious of this, to bring greater consciousness and awareness into humanity about peace and peace building. She knew what that was, that we can create peace in our lives. Each person has a role and responsibility. She carried that mission throughout her life. I worked with Avon for 40 years, and she was continuously focused on what is the highest and the very best, and how to communicate about the mission of peace and peace building. She was unwavering, she was collaborative, she was spiritually based. She lived in the world of spirit and everyday life. She was on a mission.
The coronavirus has led to a major increase in food insecurity in the United States. In the following segment, we'll see how organizations in California's Couchella Valley are addressing the needs of people experiencing a lack of food and nutrition.
Hello, my name is Thomas Koken. I am the Food Bank Coordinator for the Cathedral City Senior Center.
So Tommy, tell us a little bit about, I know you came into the program and it was already moving. What did you find when you first got here, and how has it developed since that time?
Our program is one of the very few food banks in the Valley that is a shop food bank, which means that you're able to pick the items in which you want to take home for you. Senior insecurity is one of my pet peeves. I feel this country is rich and as wasteful as the average human being is on this earth, that there's no reason on why there should be senior food insecurities. And so it's one of the champions that I have that I have taken on. I came in to the program about 2.5, 3 years ago, and we were working with the program. We had Find Food Bank was giving us we were buying a lot of products from Find. We had Second Harvest or Hidden Harvest, I'm not sure which one it is, it's been a while. We had them, and we were at capacity. We were about 150 households or more. Then the pandemic hit. I made sure that when we were forced to close the doors here at the senior center, that I made sure that I did everything I possibly could to keep the food bank open as a supplemental food bank. I will always have frozen proteins. I will always have canned, non-perishable items. I try very hard to make sure I have a selection from the triangle of the food groups, for my seniors. We do have occasionally people come and knock on our door and ask for, I'm hungry. And I know that they are home challenged. So therefore I have a few bags that are pull top, and ask friends that, when you get your to-go items and you get home, don't throw the silverware away. Donate it back to the senior center because somebody will need that. And so I make sure that I have a little, it's not a lot, but it's, a full can of soup and a bottle of water and a bag of crackers and a peanut butter. At least it's something that will help. These are our human beings also, and we need to remember that when we go through life, that we're not just the only ones here. We're a whole planet of people, or a whole society of people, and we need to make sure that we give somebody a handout and a hand up when they need it. Trader Joe's in Cathedral City, who has been providing food to us for years and years and years. Grocery Warehouse, which just opened in Cathedral City, they're providing food for us. We also have Panera Bread donates bread to us, and we have Panera Bread. We have Starbucks coffee over here in Target parking lot that donates to us. And then there's this lovely drag queen that does dinner with Patsy.
Where do you see it going from here? We've just come out, almost out of the pandemic, so things are looking a little bit more hopeful.
Kind of newsflash out there, folks. There will always be food insecurities. There will, and even though we're at a senior center and senior food insecurities are very, very close to me, after we have discussed it among ourselves, our food bank is open. You don't have to be a senior. You don't have to be a Cathedral City resident. We are open. So remember, everybody's invited to come down on the first and third Mondays of the month for our general food bank, our open to the public food bank.
This is our 14th annual Fill the Bus event, and we're collecting food and toiletry donations, non-perishables. Everything that we collect is going to the LGBTQ Center here in Palm Springs and the Find Food Bank in Indio. We have 2 locations here at the Rouse and Smoke Creek and at Walmart in Palm Desert.
And do you actually get the bus filled? Is that filled?
We are half filled right now, and we still have several hours to go. We're here till 7 o'clock.
Following the COP26 climate conference, it has become clear that there's a dilemma in meeting the goals set out by the Paris Climate Agreement. We need industry to work with environmentalists to meet the agreement's goals. like making electric cars, buses, and sustainable computers. In the following segment, Indian environmentalist Sunia Narain explains how we can create this vitally important collaboration.
Here's our dilemma. We need industry to make the things we need, like cars, buses, tractors, and computers. But we also need a clean, livable planet. And yet this dilemma has a real and practical solution. We can have both, but we need to make the right decisions. How? It's about using the right sources of energy and cutting back on waste. We have the power and knowledge to create a world with billions of green jobs based on renewable energy and clean manufacturing. We can build on what is already happening. Take my country, India. Our industries will need to find ways to switch away from coal and to develop sources of clean energy. For example, many cement companies have reduced their CO2 emissions by increasing the use of fly ash, which is a waste material from burning coal in thermal power plants. Then others have taken a pledge to go 100% renewable. Things are changing. We are finding ways to use less material in our new structures and to reuse, to recycle, and to reduce. The major car markets are moving towards 100% sale of electric cars by 2030. Now we need a mobility transformation so that we can use cleaner electric power for mass transportation in buses and other modes. And in the last decade, the steel industry has substantially reduced its energy use per ton of steel. But much more needs to be done. We know this. Our roadmap is the Paris Climate Agreement, adopted by nearly 200 countries. Every nation has to report regularly on how they are increasing their efforts to keep temperature rise to well below 2 degrees Celsius. Climate change is a matter of justice. It is the poor who are exposed to the worst effects: flooding, droughts, fires, and storms. And since industry contributes 1/5 of the world's greenhouse gases, governments, communities, and businesses must work together to make the shift to clean energy. So spread the word about the climate action you are taking to support the Paris Agreement.
Now we feature an environmental success story. Maida Bilal led a group of women on a 503-day blockade that resulted in the cancellation of 2 proposed dams in Bosnia-Herzegovina. She was recognized for her leadership with the 2021 Goldman Prize, the world's largest and most prestigious environmental award.
Bosnia and Herzegovina still bear the scars of war that brutalized the country in the 1990s. But today, the region is better known as a place of beauty and biodiversity, where some of the last undammed rivers in Europe run free.
Jednom riječju opisane plavo srce Evrope.
Simply put, our rivers are the blue heart of Europe, wild, untamable, and incredibly beautiful.
The Couchella River runs through a protected landscape, providing fresh drinking water to nearly 150,000 people. Given its protected status, Maida Bilal was stunned to learn that construction of 2 small hydropower projects was about to begin near her village of Couchella. Small hydropower produces minor amounts of energy, but has a major environmental impact, fragmenting rivers and destroying critical habitat.
There was supposed to be a public debate, but the residents were not even aware that someone had designs to develop our river.
As the excavators arrived to begin construction, Maida and 300 other villagers rushed to the bridge to block the equipment. Day after day, the villagers, mostly women, took turns occupying the bridge. At dawn, 3 weeks after the blockade began, a police SWAT team moved in.
I heard the screams. They forcibly pulled out our hair. They beat us and dragged us off that bridge.
Maida managed to escape, but many of the women were arrested.
When they were finally released, the police asked, "Where are you going?" They all said, "We're going back to the bridge to guard our river."
As video of the assault went viral, attracting global support, Maida stepped into a leadership role.
I
did not consider myself a leader. I was but one among equals.
Maida co-founded the Eco Bistro Citizens Association, which supported a lawsuit challenging the legality of the construction permits.
We organized protests outside the court around key moments in the lawsuit to build pressure.
All the while, Maida did her shifts on the bridge, now known as the Bridge of the Brave Women of Couchella.
The blockade became like a living organism. You just know that your heart is leading you there and that you must stay there.
Finally, after 504 days, the regional court canceled all permits for the dams. Maida and the brave women of Couchella had triumphed.
We want politicians in Bosnia and Herzegovina to understand that we are the corrective force. We are the guardians of this land.
For outstanding environmental achievement for Europe, the 2021 Goldman Environmental Prize is awarded to Maida Bilal, Couchella, Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Finally, we hear a personal message of peace from Geoff Kors, former mayor and present city council member for the city of Palm Springs, California.
Geoff Kors, mayor of the city of Palm Springs, and you know, the holiday season always reminds us of the need for peace in the world. That it's an opportunity for us to bring people together and remember that our common humanity is so much stronger than anything that divides us. So my wish for the season and the year is a more peaceful world, a more peaceful country, and that everyone treats each other with respect and dignity, because that's how we'll get to a more peaceful place.
Thank you for watching Positive Spin. Stay safe and healthy during the holidays, and remember, you can create your own positive news.